because I was focused on what I wanted, my energy was able to concentrate on real estate. I was able to learn the skills that I wanted, and then I was able to navigate the networking to get to the clients and the people, to get in front of the people, and niching down, knowing your audience. That way you're able to navigate, get you through there.
Hey, I know a guy and stuff like that. And I joke with people, there's certain people out there like that. They're known as like, oh, I got a guy or I know a guy and stuff like that. But that's how this works and stuff like that with the industry, is knowing somebody, even if it's not to progress your own specific work or whatever. It's other people that can help people out, because that's all this is trying to solve a pain point for people.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of 23 Journeys, a network with creative. I am your host, Thato and Dadson, with my co-host and partner, Naomi.
Hey, how are you?
All right, and today we are going to be focusing on different things about breaking into the industry and such. So it's a lot more like focusing on you as the individual versus as much on all the stuff you do on the outside. Because if we want to network with people, you have to give them something or someone they want to network with. We in a previous episode we had talked about hey, be able to relate to people, have a common topic. It could be the sports, it could be fashion, it could be. I tend to stray away from religion or politics and stuff, because those can get really dicey with different people and whatnot. But I mean, hey, say for instance you're networking at a church event, then yeah, obviously you can talk all religion you want to do. But the premise is just try to find something that you all can relate with and everything too. And then be honest with yourself. Don't talk about stuff that you don't care about, because what if you build a relationship with somebody and the next thing you know, now you're trying to continue conversations with this person. You're talking about, music, whether it could be Taylor Swift, or we had Kendrick Lamar on the Super Bowl or something. You're trying to talk about that, but then you have no concept or idea of these people. How can you continue a conversation? Either you got to get really good at research and learn all that you can about these topics, or just make sure you just know whatever you're going to talk about with people, make sure it's something that you care about and it's, important to you too.
Yeah, not only that, we're focusing on this episode, niching down and everything into your industry and stuff, because depending on your industry, there could be all different avenues that you can go to and all and stuff. And it helps to niche down, especially in the beginning when you're starting out and everything and all. That way, when you go to these networking events and they ask, what do? You can tell them specifically what it is that you do, instead of giving them too many options. And then they're like, okay, well, I don't know really then how to refer you then and stuff, because it might be just too many things at one time and all. So
yeah, because that's information overload is what people like to say is you if we're gonna go the sales route, when you do sales, you always want to kind of just give people two options, at the most three, but you only want to really give them two options, so that way people will just be like, okay, well, I want either the red car or the blue car. You don't go oh, we got red, we got blue, we got yellow, we got a rainbow car, we got a neon car, we have a car that flies. It's just no. Here are our options. What do you like? And it helps people to stay more focused in on what you're trying to deliver and present.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you don't do the other things and stuff like that too and all and whatnot. It's just that people will know you specifically for these specialties and stuff, almost becoming the connoisseur in your industry and stuff for these specific things. So people know to refer you out for these things. But then if they're oh, I need a photographer for this, Thato, I know you do really good for these other avenues and stuff, but do you do this too? And you'll be yeah, I do that too and everything and stuff like that and all and whatnot and stuff, because they're already thinking of you a great photographer for this industry, but now you can also do something else as well.
Yep. So where we'll start with that with niching down. So I myself, I have a couple of different avenues that I am in. I'm in the real estate photography world. I'm also in the wedding photography, actually more wedding videography. I will say wedding videography world, and then we have a photo booth, and we have a couple of different products that we put out and such. So when we're presenting ourselves, when we do sales and present ourselves for whatever we're doing, we try to gear whoever we're talking to towards those specific things. And with networking and building those relationships, it's what you want to gear into. So a little story time on how I got into with real estate photography, which is actually the photography that actually really helped me get the business started up, afloat, and then I was able to expand it all the other things where we added the photo booth and the weddings and everything and such. So previous episode, we talked about my history. I used to work in television. I worked at Pause Promotions, at Shaytown Films, Who Mag Multimedia, and then I left there. I left TV and entertainment altogether, and
You were just in the commercial industry for a while.
So I went to Verizon. I was working as a FiOS guy, and I had some great times, But at the end of the day, it's corporate America. You are working for a corporation, so there's just so much you could do depending on what you're doing, where your creativity will either feel like it's blossoming or being stifled and such. And I grew up in a household. My father, he's a first generation from Africa, from Ghana, and he'd always drill into my head and my brother's head, business, 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 business. So I've always had that mentality of business. I gotta grow myself. If I want to be free. And I saw it through my parents because they worked. My dad was a professor, and my mom, she worked in corporate America, and they made great money, but they told me that they weren't happy a lot with what they were doing because it just management coming down on you or other corporate different types of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I love working with my corporate clients, and I think corporations serve their purpose and everything else like that. But it's not for everybody. I'm a creative, and usually us creatives don't thrive well. That's more of like the more analytical,
more like me.
Yeah, data analysis. Those kind of people. Like it's like there's realms for everybody. And such. So after I had an epiphany, and I just had to leave and get back. But I'm starting from scratch. I had nothing. I had no contacts. I wasn't working in industry. I had old camera gear and other whatnot. So,
but you knew you missed that industry. You knew you missed the camera and being behind the camera and everything and stuff like that and all and whatnot. And it was important because you're like, I like being behind the camera because you had tried acting and stuff like that and all. We actually met modeling and stuff, being in front of the cameras and all and stuff. But you're like, no, I miss being behind the camera, being the one creating the photography and the videography and everything and all. So.
Yeah, creating all the images and such. I always had just like this vision. I always loved just seeing stuff being made. And I think it's like for me shifting from that in front of the camera to behind the camera, even though I'm back in front of the camera. Well, this was it. It's Inception.
But they are your cameras this time. So does that count? I mean, they're your cameras. So you're.
It is. That is a conundrum. But anyway, we're jumping all away from the story. But anyway, so now I'm like, okay, I want to shift and I want to do different things. I want to get back into photography. I want to get back to videography, stuff that I went to school for, stuff I really enjoyed and this is like 5 years I was out and stuff. And yeah, I did like little stuff here and there. Like people were like, hey, can you do this one little thing? But it wasn't like how we do. This is what we do and such. So I talked with you, and told everybody like, here's what I want to do. I'm interested in getting to real estate photography and such. And you were what? You're like...
Well, it was like even before that because you were like, I want to get into photography, but I don't know which aspect of photography. So I remember us talking about because we're like, okay, well, if you're going to leave this job that pays great money and everything and stuff like that, we're going to have to come up with another way of support and everything and stuff like that. So I went back more full-time. I took a better job and stuff like that and all. Like that way I could help support us while we were starting up because... No joke, starting a business up, it takes a lot and everything and stuff like that. It takes a network and stuff, even just people for support and everything, just cheering you on and everything too and all. But I remember us sitting down and you're like, okay, I want to focus on what kind of photography do I want to do and everything. So I remember you took like a good couple weeks or whatever. You were just researching different things. And then you came to me, you're like, I've got it. I'm going to do real estate photography. And in my mind, I was like, what the heck is real estate photography? I was like, because when I think of photographers and videographers, the first thing that came to my mind is like, you've got your family sessions, you've got your weddings, you've got newborn sessions, like you've got headshots and stuff. I'm like, what is real estate photography? Like I was like, they sell houses and stuff, like pictures online. I was like, that's an industry, like you can make money off of that. But I was like, okay, I mean, I saw your passion about it. You're like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm like, okay, I have no idea how or how this is going to make money, but go for it and stuff. And I just remember supporting your creativity with that and all and whatnot. And then yeah, it just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah, so like on the technical aspect for all my tech heads, we got new cameras. I had gotten a DJI drone. It was the not the Maverick, it was the Phantom 3 drone, because I was like, being a kid, I always wanted to be an airplane pilot. For like fighter jets and stuff. Well, I was in ROTC in high school, and a recruiter told me that because I didn't have 20/20 vision, I couldn't be a pilot and such. And I took that to heart. I was like, oh, I could never be any type of pilot. Well, when I got my drone license that year, when I was restarting my business, the guy said, yeah, you have corrected vision for 20/20. Yeah, you could just be a regular commercial pilot. And I was like, a whole segment of my life. But then we wouldn't have this conversation if I was a pilot, right? So
Everything happens for a reason and stuff like that. So, yeah.
But anyway, learned the drone and everything. And, I was like, all right, well, how can I get out there? Who are the people who need real estate pictures? Well, real estate agents, obviously. But how do you, get in front of these people? So I took my background in the Verizon, because I was in the marketing and branding area. So I was like, okay, I got to get my portfolio together. I got to get my imaging and all that together for these people. So I knew a couple of real estate agents. We were living around here, and I grew up in Delaware too. So I knew some agents in Delaware. And I said like, hey, I'm starting up this whole new thing for real estate photography. Could I like take some pictures for you, just for my portfolio, so that way I can present to people and such? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I shot the pictures, gave them to them, and so they used it and everything. And then I just would go online. This is how aggressive I was. I would go online and I would look for real estate listings that had crappy pictures. And I would be like, okay, maybe I could run over here. And I'd look for ones that were nearby. And I found one that had like an open house. It was like a Sunday. It was like a random Sunday. We're at my parents' house in Delaware. And I saw the picture. So I ran over to the house. I walked in. I said hi to the agent. I introduced myself, and I said, hey, I'm a new photographer. I saw you had some cell phone pictures, and I'm learning. Wanted to offer my services for free. The lady was like, sure, why not? Snapped those shots and whatever and whatnot. And she was very appreciative. I gave them to her and stuff. So then that turned into an actual incident where she actually hired me for a paid gig for another house that she said was actually a house that she would actually get professional photos done, because it was like more on the upper 100,000s and such. And I was able to use my drone, and I got some photos with that. So then, boom, there you go. So from there, I go from this lady, I'm able to present to another real estate office. I went to an office this was in Middletown, Delaware, and it was Long and Foster. And I went to the front desk, and I told them about like what I do, and I dropped off my card and stuff. And the lady was like, "Oh yeah, sure." I was like, "All right, well, hopefully it becomes something else." Did some follow-up emails, and she's like, "Yeah, we got your information, so we'll reach out whenever we need it." Now this was wintertime, so during wintertime, I didn't know
like the slow period.
I didn't know that there really wasn't anything going on. I just thought houses get sold whenever. So then finally, I get a follow-up from this office. One of the people who's actually been my client, Victor, he's been my client for the longest time, reached out to me. He was my first paying client from out of that area and stuff. He's like, hey, yeah, I'm we got your card. You dropped off information. I want to give you a try for a job. How much you charge? And at the time, I was like, I never thought of pricing. I was like, $100. He's like, all right, yeah, that's cool. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, oh, great. It's like, oh, yeah, what day? And then we set a date, and I went out and did the job and gave him the photos. And then from there, then he was like, yeah, the lady at the front desk, like, yeah, well, one of my guys, Victor, reached out to you. So then she said like, hey, we had these meetings. You could always present your stuff. So then at that, she was able to, both Victor and her were able to open the door to get me in front of the broker. And I got in front of all the other agents. I did a whole presentation talking about everything. And then that developed into getting some of those people within my clients. And then I did the same thing up here in Pennsylvania, where I was helping you out. You used to work at a company, and they needed some, because it was like in between, it was a slow, and I was working at the front desk, and I made friends with the mailman. And me and the mailman, like, he'd walk in, and I'd always go, oh yeah, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. And he would just be laughing like, yo, dude, you crazy, like, handshake, whatever, and such. So then I was telling him what I was doing, and he's like, "Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, you should reach out. Go to there's a real estate office right around the corner. Go up there. I drop mail off to them all the time." I was like, "All right, cool." So then one day, I didn't see him that day yet, but I was like, "All right, I told you I was just gonna go out, drop out, like present myself." I went over there, knocked on the door. I started talking to the people and everything like that. Mailman walks in while I'm talking to them, and then he vouches for me. He tells them, "Nah, this guy's legit. You should work with him. He does really great work. He's awesome to work with. The Mailman.
And that wasn't even planned either with him coming in behind you. You were just like, okay, I have time. I'm going to go over there and check this place out that he told me about. And then it just happened that he came in at that same time. It was like perfect timing.
Perfect timing. He came in. So then after that, the broker was like, all right, cool. We'll give him a shot. Hey, you, how about you go to these? Then the broker gave me information to other brokers that were in that group. And everything. He said, go to talk to these people. Tell them I sent you and whatnot. And then I met other great clients that became clients for years, and some of them still now clients and stuff. So because I was focused on what I wanted, my energy was able to concentrate on real estate. I was able to learn the skills that I wanted, and then I was able to navigate the networking to get to the clients and the people, to get in front of the people. Now we have, we photographed and video, droned so many houses, and from mansions, from row homes to foreclosures to multi-million dollar like the construction projects. We've done high rises in Philadelphia. It's crazy, but that's the power of the niche, and the niche is knowing who you are and knowing what you provide and such. And that's a lot about yourself, about who and everything. And it gave you a direction too, because it's like if you were talking to the mailman and you're like, yeah, I'm in photography and stuff like that, but you didn't like say like I'm going after real estate agents or something, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna try taking some photos of these people over here, maybe do some sessions over here and stuff. He would have never maybe told you about that real estate office over there and everything, but because you were focusing on that, like how you said you went to the open house, like you go to where those clients are, like that you're looking for and stuff like that. And also because if you were not focused on real estate, then you might not have gone to these agents and stuff like that and all and whatnot. So, and that broke, and because then from there too, like you got into the magazine too for real producers and everything magazine, and stuff like that and all. Like, so you started out shooting and stuff, and that's how you use that. You weren't getting paid like super well or anything and stuff like that, but you saw it as an opportunity to build off of that, of what you could get from it from the people that you were meeting, because then you met a ton of people through the magazine that you were shooting for the magazine that became your clients and stuff and all. Some were already your clients because you were already in the industry and everything, but other ones, it opened up that door then and all from there. Yep. And that's like using with the magazine is like using the workplace as a networking pool too and such. The magazine world is very It's interesting. There's like all like, especially like you got the high profile magazines, your smaller magazines and such, and they all have like their different things that, meshes them to that they all relate to, but and there's different ways to navigate it. But yeah, definitely I met some really great clients and stuff because I was taking their pictures and we're having a good time, and I sell myself first, and it's like one thing with the real estate industry, and I know a lot of real estate agents can probably vouch for that, is that they get inundated by other photographers or companies all the time, emails, you name it, phone calls, social media, whatever, and stuff. My clients always tell me that they like me, not for the fact that just I'm a really good photographer, they love that, but also I'm actually a cool person, I think so. But even though that, because like, even if you look at like reviews that you have on like, not the real estate side, but like now that you're in the wedding side and stuff, like you'll see a ton of brides that like review that like you have a calming presence, that like even in the height of the anxiety of the day to day, that you're able to keep things on schedule, you're able to keep them calm, like, and stuff. Like it's that atmosphere that you make and everything and stuff like that and all with that. And like, that's just a testament to your personality as who you are and everything, and whatnot. Because like even when we met, your car was broken into that day and stuff like that. The day we met, we heard your alarm going off and stuff, and you went out, and like when you came back in, like I thought you were gonna be like all mad, your car was broken into and everything, and you're just like, well, there's nothing I can do about it now and stuff, and you continued on with your day. And that's what really impressed me when I met you, because like if my car was just broken into, like my window smashed and everything, like I probably would have at least been like mad or something and all. And you just kept about your day, and you're like, you know what, just keep it moving and everything. And that's who you are as a person. So that's like, that attracts those type of clients that want that personality and everything and stuff like that and all and whatnot. So yeah. Yeah, I remember one of my clients that I met, finishing off with real estate, is he had a photographer that he was working with and stuff, but he said that the guy was just really like, kind of, not to say standoffish, but it was just he wanted somebody to have a relationship with, somebody he could maybe talk a little bit with or everything like that. And then he worked with me, and he was just like, dude, it was like having a homie. Like, you know, we're not only you did great work, but it was just like we just had great conversations and such. And he valued that more, and he was just like, you know, hey, I want to use you for everything now.
Yeah.
And such.
And the niche is really important too, because then it's like from there, like you were in the magazine and stuff, but then the magazine got turned over to somebody else and stuff, which is actually one of our
upcoming guest.
Yeah, one of our upcoming guests and stuff like that. And he's specifically in the real estate industry and stuff. So it's like he's going to talk about more like networking and stuff like that and networking events, but for a specific industry. So it's like he knows his niche is real estate. That's where he's in and stuff like that. And he owns it and everything and stuff like that coming up and all and stuff. And then that's how you know him. And because of that, now that you do photo booths and stuff, which is nowhere near what you were doing in the beginning. Like you didn't have photo booths or anything back then, but now like you have photo booths, and now since you already have this connection with him, you use that for some events that he does and everything and all and stuff too. So it's just all about expanding, because you never know how you're going to grow with these people that you meet along the way and everything and stuff like that, and connections. So
yeah, and then connections and growth go in so many different ways. It could be even like friends that you grew up with and whatnot. Like I've had people that originally when I was in high school, we were like, you know, we were okay friends. And then after I graduated, we've become like really close buds and everything else like that, you know, and like he even helps me on photo booths and stuff. Shout out Josh. And, you know, and so it's like, you never know, like what you may like the initial connection may seem like something, whatever, but then it could blossom to something else. And, you know, niching down, knowing your audience, that way you're able to navigate, get you through there. I mean, in the wedding aspect, with like when I started going that aspect, that really blossomed from, I wanted to just be a second shooter for weddings. I was looking to sell camera equipment. I had my old Steadicam that I wasn't using. I had bought it, and it was just kind of sitting there. And it was like, you know, this is like thousands of dollars.
And it was huge. It was sitting in our basement. I remember that. I was like, what are you going to do with this? Can we get rid of this?
I was like, all right, well, let me find a way. So I go to a camera shop, and this was back when we were living down in the Delco area. I go to a camera shop, and I meet this photographer, Richard, and he was like, oh, I know a videographer guy that may want to buy that, you know, here, let me get you connected with him and such. And he got me connected to Joey, you know, my buddy Joey. And Joey was just like, yeah, I wasn't interested in the gear. I just wanted to talk to you because I'm looking for people to do video stuff with. And he told me he had a wedding video company, and he's looking for people to film with him and stuff. I was like, yeah, sure. At the time, I was like, I don't want to lead weddings. I just want to be a second shooter. So if that's all you want me for, sure, I am all game for that and stuff. So that whole second shooter mentality shifted when COVID happened, because when COVID happened, then people like my buddy Joey and like other videographers and photographers were just like, hey, I'm double booked now because the wedding I originally had set for this day has been shifted because the venues were closed and all those different things. So I can't do both of these. Can you take over this one and stuff? And I was like, sure, I could do that. I first was just doing the videos and stuff. Then I had a buddy of mine who it was like literally we had nothing that weekend. I think our kids were at my parents' house for that weekend, and me and you we were working on taxes.
Our favorite time of the year.
Yeah, right. We were working on taxes, and we're like, okay, we'll have the kids stay over at my parents' house for like the weekend, so that way we can just have like kind of like some time for us to focus on different things. So then we had nothing planned for that Saturday, and my buddy hit me up. It's like last minute. He's like, hey, we had a photographer book for our buddy's wedding, and he just canceled last minute because he couldn't get off of work. And I'm just like, if you knew it was a wedding, how are you not getting off work? But I was like, aside from that, I was like, all right, so you really need somebody? I was like, dude, I don't really shoot weddings. Like, I don't do wedding photography. He's like, yeah, I know, but I just need somebody, and I trust you. And I was like, all right. I went out, I did it, and I looked at my work. I was like, it's not half bad.
I remember seeing those pictures too, and I was like, wow, you took these? I was like, they're really, really good and everything, because at that time, all you were shooting was houses. So yeah. I was seeing like lots of house stuff and everything, and also to see people in there and everything. And I saw like a spark, and you were excited about these pictures and stuff like that and everything. So it's like I saw that passion behind it and everything and stuff like that. You still love the real estate. You were already established now in real estate and everything, and architecture and all and whatnot. But now I saw like a new spark of like enthusiasm behind you and everything and all and whatnot and stuff. And that just goes to show too with the networking, like it was somebody that you knew from something else and everything that you weren't ever really talking about trying to sell your services to or whatever. They just knew like hey, I know a guy and stuff like that. And I joke with people, there's certain people out there like that. They're known as like, oh, I got a guy or I know a guy and stuff like that. But that's how this works and stuff like that with the industry, is knowing somebody, even if it's not to progress your own specific work or whatever. It's, other people that can help people out, because that's all this is trying to solve a pain point for people. Like, that person didn't have a photographer now for their wedding and stuff like that, or whatnot and all. And then there was other people too that knew you did photography too in the real estate and all. And they're like, I know you don't shoot weddings, but like, we need somebody now, because like all these photographers, videographers are booked now during COVID and stuff. Like, we need somebody. Can you please do it and stuff? And because you didn't have weddings booked, you were able to take on a lot of these clients and stuff like that and all. And then you're like, I like this and everything and stuff and all. So yeah.
And then that shifted gears to, okay, now I have a new niche. Okay. Now I already have established a niche with the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So the real estate was fine. That one's already good. I have the clients.
Yeah, that
constantly,
was already rolling in.
And that's like a revolving door. It's like, because what happens is, it's like, once you've built yourself and you've done a really good job and you networking, you have relationships, is more, like, I always say, don't make it just transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have relationships with these people. Follow them on social media. Comment if you see like their kid won a little league game on baseball. Like, get on there. Like, yeah, go John, go Johnny. Yeah. Like, something like that shows them that not only are, one, you're valuing their business for working with you, but then you're also valuing them as a person and their family and what's important to them. And two, it's the friendship, at the end of the day, business friendship, I guess.
Well, like, for instance, I love travel and everything and stuff like that, and going on vacations and everything. I'm always trying to plan our next trip, like, and everything and all and stuff. But that excites me and everything. So when I see like these people that we've made connections with and I'm friends with on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and they're going on vacation or they're like posting a beautiful sunset or whatever, like, I'm like, I love it. Like, I'm like, oh, I wish I was there too. Like, the weather looks beautiful, like, and stuff like that. Like, I'm big on sunsets and stuff like that. So it excites me. And then you see the passion that people have for certain things. It's not as fake then and everything and stuff like that. Like, you're building genuine connections and stuff. So it's like, even if all you're doing is liking their pictures and like, oh, you were just at Disneyland or Disney World and stuff like that and all, like, we're going there next week or whatever the case may be and stuff. It's just those little touches. So that when you guys see each other then in a networking event, then you're like, hey, how was that trip and stuff like that and all and whatnot. So yeah.
And it's driven by emotions. Emotions. You are always going to be more drawn to or connected to something that you have some kind of emotional connection. Like, think of like a song or like an experience you had. Like, your memory, your subconscious will take you back into like what was I feeling that day? What was I thinking and such? Like you hear a song from, like, I grew up when the Ushers Yeah came out and stuff. And it takes me right back to high school homecoming dances and stuff. As soon as I hear that song, I'm just like, yeah. I just see in my head, just like back in high school, just like dancing and partying, and we used to break dance on the floor, and
you still break dance on the floor, but now you're starting to pull some things.
Hey, that it's an old car. The engine's still good. I just gotta fix the body.
But anyhow, to circle back with what you were saying about how you started your new niche then with weddings and stuff and all, like, not only were you starting a new niche though, but you found a complementary niche, I would say, and stuff. Because I mean, wedding industry and real estate industry, completely different industries and stuff. However, what we found, and you can correct me, is they have different busy seasons. So then it was easy for you to transition, because real estate is really, really busy in the spring, the summer, fall a little bit. But then, like, once kind of school time happens, kids are going back to school, a lot of people kind of stop selling their houses because they don't want to be moving and stuff like that and everything, like during the winter time and stuff. Like, you'll see some houses go on sale, but it's really not as much and everything. Whereas the wedding industry really picks up in the fall and everything. And then towards like your October time, November time, like even December, there's a ton of weddings. That's like your major busy season and stuff like that and all and whatnot. So it's like, when you had your weddings, then you didn't have as much real estate shoots going on. So you were able to more so like focus on taking a lot more of these weddings and stuff. And then vice versa. Then like when the weddings died off, the real estate's picking back up and stuff and all. So it's like it was complementary and all, because sometimes too, like if you're doing two industries and stuff and two niches where it's very, very similar and all, and like then people are calling you to book you for both things and stuff. And then you have to turn business away then and all, because it's just too similar in there, then you're over double booking and stuff like that and all, which you don't want to do either.
Yep. And then, and then this is another business thing that we're not going to get too, but like knowing your pricing and stuff with your niche too, because, if you start seeing that you're getting really booked a lot, but then it's like like you could either say like, hey, I want to focus just on this one area. Cool. You keep your pricing there. But if you're like, no, I want to kind of balance it out where I'm still doing a bit here and a bit there because maybe I like the clients over here or I like all this like the clients or like the environment and stuff, then you make sure your pricing fits so that way the people who want to work with you that can afford you will be able to pay for your services and such. And you're right, the whole complimentary of the services, it is like that. Like weddings, I mean, there are weddings that do get busy in the spring. I mean, I've noticed, at least for me, and I mean, there's probably photographers and videographers that will say otherwise, that the summer hasn't really been as busy as it used to been for me. Like
for real estate or the weddings?
For weddings.
Okay.
Like real estate still stays pretty busy during the summer.
I would say it's like spring, like April-ish,
like,
April, May and stuff.
Yeah, April, May we'll get it, and then like during June to August, like a lot of brides have told me they're like, yeah, I don't want to be
hot.
I don't want to be sweating, So we'll get like maybe 1, 2 weddings during like depending on like July. Like July and August is really like not busy at all.
Yeah. Towards the end of August it starts to pick up because then but usually it's like September, October, November.
Once you step into September, it's just like you just like I have plenty of friends. It's like, all right, guys, I apologize if I don't respond to any group chats because I'm going to be away in wedding Wonderland. And the great thing too is like how I took, like we said, I had those relationships already built and these people were able to refer me out. So then now I'm building the wedding stuff. And now I'm like, okay, cool. Now I got to build new other connections and such because there's only so much that, you can bother other people. Like, you sent me something? Can you feed me some more, sir? You got to go out and you got to feed yourself. So I did different things with, we did style shoots. We did styled wedding shoots. And the way I incorporated that, the way to bring value for other vendors is like there are people who do style shoots and they actually charge for those ones too. But we did free style shoots where it was a value for everybody involved. The only thing you had to put in was just your service and your time and such. So we had a planner who helped organize and get it all together. We had a venue that sponsored the location. The florist that sponsored flowers and designs and stuff. We had dress designer. We got models who volunteered their time.
Makeup artists.
And everything. So, and it really comes down to when you're doing something like that, especially as a creative, is okay. So now, what am I getting out of this? Okay, so me, I'm the photographer. Okay, we'll start from my avenue. Me as a photographer, I'm giving out my work to these people. Well, how does that help me? Well, one, now I'm building my portfolio. Okay, I got models that I got to pick that look the style that I'm trying to market and grow. Then I also I've given these other people, whether the wedding planner, the florist, everything, these pictures and stuff. It's like, okay, cool. I've connected with these businesses and stuff. So I could tag them in posts and such, and they could reshare it. And then same thing with the other people. They've now received these photos or these videos of the pictures that we did at the style shoots. And now they have marketing material and stuff. And then, you could work out ways where you guys have an agreement that like we have to tag everybody that was in the style shoot. Anytime you post a photo or video from that event, we have to tag each other. So that way it's a mutual growth for everybody. So everyone is always getting something out of it, at least on the social media aspect. But the photographer and everyone will get a chance to actually see what it's like to work with you. So someone's getting married and, they have a DJ and they're looking at the flowers and stuff. And then the florist could be like, oh, how's your wedding planning going? Oh, we're doing great. It's like, oh, you found all your vendors yet? No, we're still looking for a photographer. Oh, you should use Thato. He is great. He did these photos of the shoot, and here are my flowers. We use it in all of our marketing material and stuff. Or somebody could compliment, like, hey, wow, your dress photos look fantastic. Like for the dress designer, it's like, yeah, these photos were taken by Thato. Boom. Those are those warm connections that get you in front of the clients that you want to be in front of. And one of my goals last year, we accomplished it. So the year prior, one of my goals the year prior was when marketing and connecting and networking was I wanted to have at least one wedding every month. And I accomplished that. I was able to get at least one wedding every month. We did a January wedding. We actually, it was our first destination wedding. Had a wedding in February. Then it's our multiples, like 3 in March, 4 in April, and everything like that. But I hit my goal because that's what I wanted. I wanted that, and I knew who I had to network with and everything to help get the word out there for people to know, okay, this is what he's doing. I mean, the word wasn't like, Tyler's trying to get one wedding. It was just like in my head. They just know what I'm doing.
I think that's a good point too, because it's like you're talking about setting up like these styled shoots and stuff where you weren't getting paid for these shoots and stuff like that. And it's good for like a lot of people creative starting out, like think of ways and ideas of like, whether it's like if you're a DJing for certain events and stuff that you might not get paid for right away, but you're showing your skills, you're getting in front of the crowds that you want to DJ for and stuff like that and everything and whatnot, like, and build this community and everything and all. Because in the beginning, like, you might not have a big following, you might not have a portfolio and stuff, so it's about building that portfolio, building that following and stuff, getting your name out there and all and stuff. So finding your niche and then thinking about your niche and like, okay, what do I need to target? What do I need to get out there and stuff like that and all? Because, I mean, a lot of people, I don't want to say everybody's done free work and stuff like that, but free work and stuff like that. But you want to do it in a way, too, where you're making sure you're not getting taken advantage of as a creative, too. Because there's sometimes that people will keep coming back to you like, oh, let's work together again and again and again, but they always want the free stuff and stuff. You have to know your limit and put a limit to what you're doing because you don't want to be taken advantage of either. So it's like make sure you're getting something out of it as well and stuff. Like if it's that you're trying to get in the room with all these people that you know are going to be there and stuff for an event, cool, you're getting something out of that as long as you work it too. Because it's like if you've done events where you like photograph an awards banquet or something and you do it like pro bono and everything because you know all the types of clients that are going to be there and stuff like that are your target client. Because like you've done real estate like events and stuff like that where everyone there is a real estate agent and you're like, that's like a like a smorgasbord. Like that is all of your potential clients and stuff. And also it makes sense. But if you went somewhere else and did like a photography for an event that had nothing to do with anything you would ever photograph or something like that, then like it kind of is like a waste of your time and stuff.
Yeah. It has to be something of value. And that's a really good point. The whole like make sure like if you're going to do something pro bono, make sure there's something exactly coming out for it, whether it's getting you in front of the people that you want to be in front of, or I mean it could be a list of things. Everyone has their own list of subjects, so you have to look in yourself. And you have to look at what you're offering and figure out, okay, if I'm going to do these things, whether for at a discounted rate or if I'm going to do something for free, I need to know what else am I going to get out of it. And that's where niching down, knowing what you want, sticking to that. And then obviously you can expand. Like I'm not a family photographer. I can do family photos. I'm not a maternity photographer. I can do maternity pictures. But it's more or less like I do those things for, especially like I have wedding clients. They were wedding clients of mine. They just had their first baby, and but they wanted to get maternity photos, and I was like, all right, well, I'm not really like a maternity photographer or anything. And they're like, nah, that's fine. We just want you because you did great wedding photos. Whatever and such. I was like, cool, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it for you because you're but I don't advertise it. That's not what
you don't advertise it. You don't push it and stuff like that. You're not like, oh, I'm passionate about going out and doing that. But it would be the opposite. Like if I was as good on the camera as you are and stuff, like I love working, like I love babies, like I love maternity, like all that kind of stuff. So I could see myself going more into that industry versus like real estate. Like I don't think I'd be going into buildings all the time and taking pictures of houses and stuff and all. Like landscaping, I would love to do landscaping and all, but yeah.
Yeah, the landscape, I love what I love about those two different aspects of the photography and videography, they both come with different things that I enjoy. So like the real estate and the architecture photography is great because I can go in and a lot of times I'll go into houses and it'll just be me. Like it'll be like, here's the lockbox. You go in, you do your thing, and I can just pop my headphones on. I can listen to music, listen to a podcast or whatever, and I'm just doing my thing, mind my business, get my pictures, maybe do a little dance while I'm in there or something, and I'm having a good time. Now, on the opposite side, now I'm in front of people at the weddings. Now I get to be a performer. I get to act. I get to, interact with people and stuff like that. So it helps me kind of balance out when I need my hermit mode. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me take some pictures of some houses. I won't be bothered. Don't talk to me. Like I'm in my zone. Then I'm going to be in my superstar mode. Like, yeah, what's up, guys? Okay, cool. All right, everyone pose, yeah, and such. I think the last thing on niching down, we could just even talk about our other aspect of photo booth, which is our newer one where we've been getting it out there and such. The photo booth actually kind of goes hand in hand with both our weddings and the real estate photography, surprisingly enough. And people are probably like, well, how does it work with real estate photography? Well, it doesn't necessarily work with the real estate photography as
not bringing it into
yeah,
houses
I know, right?
and stuff like
I'm like, come on to an open house. You know, that might be a business idea.
That it would depend on the house, though. On that one. Like,
Multi-million-dollar house, you come in and there's a photo booth, you know, like you got props. It's like I got the house, you know, like
I highly doubt it, but if you can swing that would be pretty cool.
I might have to pitch that, you know. Gonna go on Shark Tank. So but the way it kind of works with both, obviously for weddings, it's pretty straightforward, you know. People will like a photo booth so that way their guests can have entertainment and fun and such. On the real estate aspect, real estate agents have offices. You know, brokers have offices, and sometimes they host events,
Holiday parties
and
one,
such.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, well, we want some entertainment. Whoa, hey, Thato does our real estate photos for all of our listings. Hey, could we also rent your photo booth for our event? I'm like, yeah, sure. Which one do you want? Do you want our small one? Do you want our big one? You know, and there you go, boom. So if you have a product and you already have like clientele, you just go like, hey guys, we got this great thing going on. If you or anybody is looking for it, you know, and like here's some value for too. If like you're building a new product for your already established clientele, offer them a discount. Mm-hmm. Offer them something just as a thank you. Like, hey, if you guys book our photo booth, instead of like, say your photo booth is, I'm just throwing random numbers out. Your photo booth is like $100 an hour or whatnot. So then you're like, okay, we'll rent it to our current clients for $75. That's a $25 discount. We're going to see great value. They're like, what? Right? I was like, yeah, basically we just want to cover our expenses. I got a guy who's running the booth. I got to pay him and stuff. They're like, okay, cool. We appreciate that. So then they'll tell like, hey, you got to use my referral code. Boom. And then there you go. Your business, and that's actually helped us in the past. You know, not at that price point, but you know.
I think it's good too because that plays into what we had mentioned before a while ago about like imposter syndrome and stuff like that and all. Because it's like whether you're adding a new product and you're getting into a new field or you're just starting out and stuff, it might be like, oh well, there's a ton of people that already do this. They do it better and everything. I don't know if I'm as good as them and stuff like that. But like, you gotta just get past that fear and just go out and do it because there's people, not everybody wants the glitz and glam of like the best of the best. Some of them are like, we don't have a budget for that. We would love that, and if we could afford it, we would hire those people in the industry that can offer that. But some people are like, no, is there a college student just getting out there? Is there like something else? Like, because I don't have a budget for it, but I really want pictures, but I can't afford it and stuff. But you're looking to build your portfolio. So you taking the little bit of money that they have that they're offering might work out perfectly because then you're getting to build your portfolio and everything in the background, and then they're getting something as well and stuff. So it's like, it's all about finding your clientele and everything and stuff like that and all and whatnot because nobody comes out being perfect automatically and stuff. I know you think you sometimes are perfect, but but you gotta like, so you want to get over that imposter syndrome too. And like when you add in the new thing, like we know we're not the best photo booth. We're not a photo booth company and stuff like that, but our products are good and they're good add-ons to services that we already have, but we're not going out there advertising that we are this whole industry and stuff like that. And we bring the lighting and we bring all this different stuff. Like that's not our goals with it and stuff like that. And also,
yeah. And the having different price points for different type of products and everything. I mean, that's whole more business development. Like we're not going to get too crazy in that. I mean, I'm sure that maybe if we had a business development person, they could do an entire spiel on just that alone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure I'll probably just be sitting there like
taking
notes. And like, holy smokes. It's like, all right, goes. Well, anyway, guys, we're going to leave this. Like, nah. But there's so many different things. I think right now we've talked a lot, really, really good about niching. I think let's just stick with that for the moment because we had other ideas that we were going to talk about. But like, I feel like niching was just like
that's a whole topic on itself.
It's so crucial. And you had pointed out a thing about too. It's like with your pricing and what you do, know what kind of clients, it helps you do your research. Okay, well, who are the type of clients I'm trying to get into? Like we'll do real estate for example. Like, all right, what kind of houses do I want to photograph? Like, so then what area agents am I going to be focusing on? Like, okay, well, I don't mind photographing a bunch of Philly row homes and such. Okay, cool. You'll just do like some of those. Oh, but I want those luxury high-rise ones in the city and like the tower. Okay, well, you got to focus on who are the agents that are be selling
and what they're looking for when they sell those kind of things. Because a lot of those kind of like the multi-million-dollar mansions and stuff, they kind of want more packages. They want to show not only photos, but they want to show video. They want to show drones. So it's like if that's not you and you can't offer all those specifics, then you might want to be like, okay, well, how can I do those and stuff like that? Maybe it's partnering with somebody else that offers the other services that you could bring in with that for and whatnot. But like your houses that you were saying, like the row homes in Philly and stuff like that, a lot of times they might just want photos and stuff and all like that. And you're like, if I'm just a photographer, I can go in and do just that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, with your niche, be competitive, with the pricing too. It's like, don't go into your niche charging luxury pricing if you're not in a luxury market. If you're going to be trying to go for the luxury avenue, then market to luxury type clientele. Don't get mad. And I see it all the time. I see a ton of people, especially on the wedding ones. They get really mad at people who post on these mommy pages that you've seen them and such, or like these like community pages saying like, hey, I'm looking for a photographer that doesn't charge an arm and a leg. Well, someone's arm and a leg is different than another person's arm and a leg and stuff. An arm and a leg is like $1,000 for one person.
It's like $4,000 for another person.
For another person too. So, some customers need to work more on like being direct on like, hey, well, here's where I'm trying to stay within, because that helps them in their whole shopping and such. But you, as a creative professional, need to know, okay, well, where's my pricing and stuff. Like I'll see posts and it'll say like, we only have a budget of $2,000. Don't comment on your stuff and try to convince this person to pay for your service, which is above the budget they've already said. Yeah. Look at it. You pass it up, like, all right, that's cool, and move on.
And also, don't take it personally, too, when people turn down your services or something, like, because sometimes they just might not have it in their budget. Like, maybe if they could afford what you were offering and stuff like that at that budget, they would book you, but it's like, that's not what they're looking for. Or it could just be style, too, because, like, even, like, they might just be looking for a certain style and everything and all, like, whether it's photographies, whether it's DJs, whether it's MCs, like, they just might be looking for a specific type of style for their event or for their pictures or whatever it may be, and you just might not fit that one, but you might fit something else they do in the future and all. So don't take it personally, because then if you take it too personally, you might burn that bridge and stuff too.
Yep. Oh, man. Whew. Well, I think that was a wonderful conversation we just had here about niching down, and I'm sure we'll probably have some more conversations. Oh, we got coming up, we have our Creative Connectors Corner, and then we also have our episode. We're going to be interviewing Josh Buckcher. Yeah. He's Wolf of Broad Street. So they do real estate events and marketing.
That's who we had mentioned earlier in niching down in the real estate industry and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll have him down, and we have insurance specialist Don Blizzard. So he's going to talk about insurance. And so his is more going to be talking about the importance of like what he provides and such. And you may not think about it as a creative because we're more focused on being artistic and stuff, but we're talking about building relationships, and this is the type of person, you don't have to buy this guy's services. We're here to empower you, to give you the understanding of, okay, cool. I may not go to Don, but I could go to somebody who has this information and
things to think about for your business, because business insurance is a huge thing and stuff like that for any industry and everything. Because it's like, if you think about your equipment and stuff, if somebody breaks into your car, steals your equipment, damages your equipment, other thing, or if your equipment falls and hits somebody or something, like you got to think about all these things and stuff. So it's like they might not be the connection in the sense of like bringing us sales clients, but we need that for our business in the back end.
Yep. So you can check us out at 23journeyscreatives.com. For all of our social media handles, just check out our description, and we look forward to hearing from you all. We'd love you all to send us some emails, some chats, and tell us your creative networking stories. Tell us, what's your niche? How did you navigate getting through everything with your niche? If you're a wedding photographer, real estate photographer, headshot photographer, DJs, actor, like how did you navigate? I would love to hear your story, and we'd love to tell your story too. So We thank you for joining us. I'm Thato Dadson with my wife, Naomi, and we are 23 Journeys, a network for creatives.
We'll see you next time.